Right now, as most viewers of this are already aware, we have a president in office who is the most dangerous, racist, misogynist, megalomaniacal leader this country has ever seen. And there are a handful of members of Congress who are beginning to stand up and introduce articles of impeachment. And our representative in the 5th District is not one of them. Most members of Congress, Republicans, Democrats, will be attending the State of the Union speech and will continue to give tacit approval to the work that Trump is doing to undermine our rights, our families, our communities. Some of the Democrats might vote against the tax scam, knowing full well that it's going to pass, which it did. But we need to ask ourselves, are they meaningfully standing up for our families, for our rights? Or are they just sitting down? My name is Nils. I'm a father, educator, and community organizer, and I am running for U.S. Congress in California's 5th District. My purpose is to create a world of social, racial, environmental, and economic justice for all. As Dr. King observed, peace is not merely the absence of tension, it is the presence of justice. And as a father and community member, I want to see that my daughter and all our daughters and sons and grandchildren have a safe and healthy world to live in. And with what we've done to the environment and what's going on with our economy, I see that we have a lot of work to do. And I think you probably already know that and agree. The question then is, why do we keep electing the same establishment politicians year after year to keep doing the same thing? I think if voters in this district really knew where our current representative is getting his money from, if voters all saw the list of weapons manufacturers and too big to fail banks and insurance giants and telecom companies that are funding this guy, there would be no contest. The issue is that we don't know. It hasn't been shown to us. Well, I feel like it's my duty to let people know that we're facing a climate crisis right now. You already know. We're facing an inequality crisis. You already know. We're facing a racial injustice crisis, an incarceration crisis. We're facing a healthcare and a student debt crisis. And we all already know, and we feel like there's nothing we can do about it. And I'm here to say there's something we can do about it. We need to quit re-electing these same clowns. These members of Congress have an approval rating that's usually hovering around 10%. Like 8% of people think Congress is doing a good job. And yet, when it comes time for re-election, 90% of them get re-elected. It is completely bizarre. My question for this 2018 midterm is what happens? What happens when a sitting establishment politician meets a standing warrior? I mean, I can't control what the voters do. All I can do is put myself out there and trust that our wisdom will prevail. Because in this 11th hour that we're witnessing as a people, with the climate crisis in full swing, with economic inequality worse than it's ever been before, with mass deportations and incarcerations and so many other troubles, a healthcare system that's falling apart, infrastructure that's falling apart, I need to trust that at some point we're going to start doing something differently. And when the voters are ready to do something differently, there has to be a warrior on the ballot that they can send to Washington. And I'm an imperfect person. I'm a working dad. I'm a human. So I don't feel like I have all the solutions. I just trust us. And when the voters in this district are ready to send a warrior to Washington who's going to stand up for our families and communities, we got to have one on the ballot. So I offer myself up to you. I offer myself up in service. The first step right now, between today and the 7th of February, is to get on the ballot. That's going to cost a couple $1,000s, administrative fees, to get some signatures together. And I'm putting the word out. If you live in the district and want to meet with me, help collect some signatures, get some volunteers together, we are in a grassroots effort right now to mobilize and do that. If you are unable to come participate in signature gathering, but you support this campaign, now would be an excellent time to make a small donation. It will go a long way to ensuring that this campaign is represented on the ballot. I think we all need to remember that we are ancestors, and someday our descendants are going to think about us, and they're going to wonder either why we didn't fight, why we didn't stand up, why we didn't dig our hands in and really make a change, or how we got the courage to actually do it. They're either going to thank us for clean water and soil that is alive and trees that are alive, or they're going to shake their heads and wonder why we didn't have the courage to stand up. So that's my challenge to you. What kind of ancestor are you going to be? That's the question that I ask myself. And my answer is that I choose to be one who stood up. I choose to be one who did the hard thing instead of the convenient thing. I choose to be one of the many leaders who rose up at this time, all together, to honor our planet, to respect each other, to create systems that treat people with dignity, to educate the youth, to care for the elderly and the sick. We already know it. It's in our bones. It's in our DNA. We know how to treat the planet. We know how to treat the water. We know how to treat each other. The question is, are we bold enough to do it right now? I hope the answer is yes.